I've never heard of this concept vehicle till now because it never existed before now, until now. If it even exists. That's what you have to stay tuned for the video to watch.
The Ferrari Pininfarina is a unique, one-off concept car designed by Pininfarina in 1980 to celebrate their 50th anniversary. As the only four-door Ferrari ever built, it was designed as a luxury sports sedan to rival the Maserati Quattroporte but never entered production. It was designed by Leonardo Fioravanti and originally featured a 4.9-liter flat 12-boxer engine. Rosso Automobili Plus 2.
So it never did reach production, but I think it would be cool to see if it ever did reach production. Whoa! Are you kidding? It can't be for sale that never reached production.
The bespoke Ferrari Pininfarina four-door concept is currently up for sale for a cool $795,000. Previously listed for sale in 2011 with an asking price of $800,000. The car really is unlike any other Ferrari ever created. The car was designed by Pininfarina and borrowed its name from Battista Farina's nickname, Pinin. It was created to celebrate the design company's anniversary, and 156 Ms were created by aftermarket coach builders. The Ferrari Pininfarina concept is the only four-door actually recognized by the Italian marque as official. The car was originally built as a design study for the Turin Motor Show 1980 without any running components. However, it was later installed with a potent 5.0-liter flat 12 engine delivering around 360 HP and borrowed from the Ferrari 512 BB.
Cars that never did get made. Cars that never did reach production.
Numerous cars have been developed as fully functional prototypes, show-stopping concepts, or near-production models, only to be killed before reaching the showroom. These vehicles often fail due to financial crises, shifting market trends, or internal company politics. Here are some of the most notable cars that never reached production, based on various reports. Production: the most beautiful designs and the most promising technology that never made it to the road. Not every supercar gets to see the light of day. Some remain concepts for eternity, no matter how badly we want them to go into production. These are the concept exotics we wish were built.
Whoa, cool. I don't know why it would be cancelled.
Every so often, Italy loses its mind. Not in the loud theatrical V12 at 9,000 RPM way we normally associate with Maranello, but in a quieter, more dangerous fashion. The sort of madness that begins with someone looking at a perfectly good Ferrari and saying, you know what this needs? 2 more doors and somewhere to put the children. This usually ends badly. I mean, Ferrari is meant to build red missiles for the rich and slightly unhinged. Cars that make your heart race and your accountant cry.
I don't know why they're saying for the rich and unhinged, but I do know that they shouldn't have said that because the rich isn't always unhinged. So yeah, just because it's for the rich doesn't mean they're unhinged. It is a good car looking, but they may lose their mind for some things, but doesn't mean a 4-door car is a good thing. Doesn't mean a 4-door car is a bad thing either. But when you think of a sports car, you never think of 4 doors. Like Dodge did it. Did they work? I think people drove it, but did it work? I don't think it did for long, but oh well.
The idea of a practical Ferrari, something you could actually use to collect shopping or ferry executives to a board meeting, sounds about as natural as a lion volunteering to pull a plow. And yet, around 1980, that is exactly what nearly happened. Because Pininfarina, the same people responsible for shaping some of the most beautiful Ferraris ever made, decided to build a luxury 4-door Ferrari saloon. Not a theory, not a sketch, an actual physical running car. And it was simply called the Pininfarina. Now, to understand why this car exists at all, you have to go back to the roots of Pininfarina itself. Battista Farina founded the company in 1930, long before most of the automotive world had figured out that styling mattered. After the war, he began collaborating with Enzo Ferrari, clothing Ferrari's road cars in elegant, sculpted bodies, so that Enzo could sell them and funnel the money straight into racing. That relationship shaped decades of motoring history. If Ferrari built the engines and the fury, Pininfarina gave them their suits. By the late 1970s, Battista's son, Sergio Pininfarina, had his own idea. He looked around at the luxury car market and saw Jaguar's XJ, Maserati's Quattroporte, and Mercedes-Benz's 450 SEL 6.9. Big, fast, four-door machines for wealthy men who wanted speed without sacrifice. And Ferrari didn't have a proper answer. And at the time, Sergio thought, why not? Now at the same time, Enzo Ferrari found himself with a small but deeply irritating problem. Ferrari, then under Fiat control, required him to use a Fiat 131 as his personal chauffeured car. Imagine that. The man who created the 250 GTO, the Daytona, the Berlinetta Boxer, forced to sit in the back of something that looked like it delivered plumbing supplies. According to Ferrari's general manager, Eugenio Alzati, Enzo hated it. He found it inadequate, which is perhaps the most polite way of saying he probably glared at it like it had insulted his mother. So when the idea of a proper Ferrari luxury saloon came up, he didn't laugh it out of the room. He listened. And that was enough. Leonardo Fioravanti, the design wizard responsible for much of Ferrari's styling from the 1960s onward, was put in charge of the project. If anyone could make a four-door Ferrari look right, it was him. Detailed development fell to Diego Otina, and together they set about doing something deeply risky, blending Ferrari's aggression with limousine dignity. And the result was...
So it was supposed to be like a limousine or what? That's what I don't understand now. Like, seriously? It has a big, wide, almost like a muscle car stance. But if it would actually came into production, I don't know, would it look like this or would it look a little fancier or what would happen, do you think?
astonishingly clean. No excessive excess, no pointless chrome, just a low, sharp, beautifully proportioned.
The back door is almost longer than the front door by a little bit, it looks like.
Saloon that looked like it had been carved from a single block of steel. Fioravanti proposed a sporting layout with a forward-mounted Ferrari flat 12 engine. Not some lazy detuned unit, but a proper Ferrari heart. The front end was made possible by slim Lucas headlamps, which allowed the nose to sit low and wide. The grille was a thin, A-grade design, subtle and elegant, rather than being shouty. Even the rear lights were body-colored, courtesy of Caranello. Today that's common, but back then it was borderline science fiction. From the side, the design played clever tricks. Smoked glass disguised the A and B pillars, exaggerating the C pillar and creating a sleek, almost coupe-like silhouette. It looked less like a boxy executive car and more like a stretched Grand Tourer. In other words, it didn't look like a taxi. It looked like a Ferrari that had simply grown up. Then inside, things became properly plush. Tobacco-colored cannoli leather covered the seats, and the dashboard was designed by Borletti. Everything in the interior spoke of quiet.
Was it only a 4-seater, not 5? Because it almost looks that way. And then there's something going on in the middle. But I don't know, is that a screen or what is it? But it does, for back then, look futuristic around the gauges. And here I have, I think this car has the first digital dash for an old school car. I think this car is very futuristic. I think this car is also gonna be a little different, and I think it does look futuristic on the inside. And the front looks very futuristic, and so does the back. But I don't know what the little handles on the side of that screen in the middle are. Maybe those are hand controls, or maybe that's the remote. I don't know what it is, but it looks cool. The only thing that always bugs me is the leather on the door. That's like cloth almost, because the way it's stitched onto the door. Because I could see that wearing out before anything else.
Luxury rather than racing aspirations. It wasn't trying to scare you, it was trying to make you feel important. But under the skin, it was pure Maranello. The prototype was built at Pininfarina Studio using a Ferrari 400 GT chassis as a donor car. So beneath the bonnet sat a mock-up flat 12 and a 5-speed manual gearbox. Even as a concept, it wasn't some hollow showpiece. It had real Ferrari bones. And when Sergio Pininfarina unveiled the car at the 1980 Turin Auto Show, it stopped people dead. Because here was something nobody expected. A Ferrari you could theoretically use every day.
Yeah, that's what gets me here. And I think that's why it was Navy stop. I don't think they really wanted a car that you could really use all the time. Because they don't really even have a SUV. And if they did, it didn't really stay out for production very long. Because not many people would ride a Ferrari SUV.
Then toured shows in Los Angeles and California, calmly sitting there like it belonged, as though Ferrari had always made luxury saloons and we'd simply forgotten. Enzo Ferrari himself was reportedly impressed enough to discuss turning this thing into a production model. Think about that for a moment. There was a point in history where you might have walked into a showroom and bought a factory-built flat 12 four-door Ferrari. But then reality intervened. At Ferrari's annual board meeting in 1980, the project died. Alzati later suggested Fiat boss Vittorio Guidella saw it as a distraction from the more financially sensible programs. From Fiat's point of view, building an ultra-niche luxury Ferrari saloon probably looked like setting fire to money. Fioravanti had another theory on why this thing was cancelled. He believed Ferrari hesitated because luxury saloon buyers expected flawless build quality. In a sports car, a few quirks or character traits are tolerated. In something competing with Mercedes or BMW, not a chance. Ferrari's charm includes rough edges. Luxury sedans aren't allowed any. So the Pinin quietly slipped into obscurity. And for years, it was just a beautiful what if. But then, in the mid-1980s, the car was sold to Jacques Swatters, the Belgian racer and Ferrari importer. He displayed it statically in the basement of his showroom, like some forgotten relic from an alternate timeline. There it sat, not running, not roaring, just gathering dust. Which feels faintly tragic for something designed around a flat 12. But eventually, after decades of being little more than a sculpture, the car changed hands, and the new owner decided this was ridiculous. A Ferrari should move. So it was sent to Mauro Forgheri's engineering firm, Oral Engineering, with a simple instruction: make it run. They didn't mess about. A proper Tipo F102B flat 12 from a Ferrari 512BB was installed. The chassis had to be strengthened and modified. Engine mounts were relocated. A 400 GT gearbox and differential were fitted. Custom fuel systems, wiring, suspension tweaks, the lot. It took roughly 18 months. And finally, in March of 2010, some 30 years after it first appeared, the Pinin ran under its own power. Picture that for a moment.
They must have made it, but it must not made Ferrari very happy because they didn't really make enough to production that they could sell. And with that saying, it doesn't even look like, it almost looks like one of the Jaguars.
The four-door Ferrari, long thought to be little more than a design exercise, suddenly barking into life with a flat 12 howl. That must have been glorious. Now since then, it's drifted through auctions and collectors, occasionally appearing at shows or museums. Its value climbing steadily, prices ranging from six figures into serious money territory, which seems entirely fair for a one-off Ferrari that rewrites the brand's rulebook. Today it lives with a dedicated collector in California, and it occasionally ventures out for real drives, which is exactly what this car deserves, because the opinion isn't just a curiosity, it's a glimpse into a parallel universe where Ferrari went head to head with Mercedes and Jaguar in the executive car.
What they did? Did they really go head to head? Because this car never did make it into production. At least that's what the article said.
Market, a world where your chauffeur driven saloon had 12 cylinders and sounded like Monza. And here's the strange thing, looking at it now, it doesn't feel wrong, it feels logical, elegant, understated. It feels fast without shouting about it. This is the sort of car Enzo Ferrari himself might have actually enjoyed sitting in, but perhaps it's better that it never reached production. Part of its magic lies in its rarity. It's the road not taken, the almost Ferrari that proves Maranello briefly considered practicality before wisely returning to lunacy. Because Ferrari building sensible four doors full time, that might have made sense. And if there's one thing we know about Ferrari, it's this: sense has never really been the
Yeah, that might be a little bit true.
point. But yeah, at the end of this video, please let me know what you guys thought of this video. What do you guys think
It looks more like an old school race car.
of this car and its story? And if you guys enjoyed this video, please leave a like and subscribe to the channel.
This is why it's probably canceled. I think it looks like an old school Jaguar more than it does a Ferrari. But what do you think?